Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Diving Deeper. We have a real treat for you this afternoon. We have Jackie Mobin, president of Women in Faith, who spoke to our congregation this morning. And so, Jackie, I really enjoyed your message this morning. And one of the key things I took away from it that really kind of resonated with me is when you mentioned, the difference between things or experiences being the key to having happiness in your life. And if you would, just kind of unpack that a little more for us.
Well, I had mentioned several things. First of all, when my children were very young, I was privileged to be a Sunday school teacher, and I was teaching third grade. And one of the lessons I taught was, do your toys make you happy, or do your family experiences? And we spent an hour discussing that. And finally, the children agreed that maybe it was family experiences rather than things that made them happy. I also had a sociology professor in college when I was much older, and he loved the bumper sticker, "He who dies with the most things wins." And I always thought that was kind of nonsensical, because when you die with nothing. And the things don't make you happy. It's like being a hoarder and surrounding yourself, but missing out on the true experiences of life, which is your relationship and love with others.
Definitely. I think it is funny how we can get caught up in, he who has the most stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we measure success. That's how we measure happiness. But it's like they say, you can't take it with you. So at the end, it's just going to turn to rust. So, and the key is you can ideally, live and experience that happiness with your experiences more than what you have. And I think that's illustrated with people who have very little are still some of the happiest people on the planet. And
I think so too. I just moved recently and I had to downgrade. And what a chore. And I know many others have gone through this. And you're looking at all these things you've accumulated over the years, and you're saying, now, why did I save this? Why did I save that? Who would want this? So I sent a lot of things back to my children. You might as well enjoy them now, because I'm moving into a much smaller place. But I know what you're saying. It's like half the time we forget what we have. So they're not making us happy.
Right, exactly. One of the other things you touched on in your message was, sometimes, and especially in the modern world, we wonder, why am I not hearing God speak to me? Why can't I hear his voice? Especially when we're going through difficult times and we pray and we feel like he's not showing up. He's not talking to us. He's not responding. And I think the key point you made was that, is he not talking, or are we not hearing him? And so, or are we not listening, I should say. And if you could just, explain a little bit further the key difference between, God talking and us actually listening for him.
Well, I think we always go back to the Old Testament and we hear the prophets and we have God's voice thundering. We have him talking to Moses with the burning bush. We have him giving the 10 Commandments. We have this God that tells us, commands us what to do in this very fierce voice. But the God we talk to now, the God of Jesus, uses a much softer approach. He speaks to us in a soft, non-threatening voice, like our Father. And it's a gentle, and he scolded me one time, and trust me, I never forgot that message. But he didn't yell at me. He just simply said, this was your choice, and I'm going to help you with it, but you're going to have to do your part. Trust me, I got that message loud and clear. So I think that's one thing that's different. And I also think people did not talk about God talking to them. If you said that God spoke to you, people thought you were maybe mentally ill, schizophrenic, paranoid, something like that. So we didn't talk about it. And I think it's great that nowadays we're much more willing to discuss the fact that God has spoken to us. Now, it could be just a simple sentence, it could be just a one word, or it could be just a feeling. And as Ernie has said, some people, we had a pastor here who always complained God never spoke to him. And I used to get so exasperated. I said, of course he did. Look at you, had this great career, you've success, you've had some bumps in your life, but everybody does. But basically, you've had this really great life. So what are you talking about? He says, but I want to hear God's voice. And my thing to him was, are you sure that God did not speak to you, or you just were not listening? And that's my main point is, do we listen when we pray to God and ask for something? Do we actually listen for an answer or not?
No, that's important. I think one of the things in our prayer life is usually it's always, and in culture, we want it now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we pray and expect immediate results, but we don't actually take that time to stop and wait for God to respond. And so I think that's a very important reminder that you offered us today in terms of being able to listen and wait on God. And I think when you do that, again, kind of bringing it full circle, it ends up leading to a happier life for you because, you're still trusting in God. You're not taking it into your own hands because you're too busy wanting it to happen now. So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
And if you have any questions for Jackie about what she shared today, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And also, if this is your first time watching Diving Deeper, definitely check in with us below as well so we can follow up with you. That said, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.